To select rows and columns in your data, we're going to introduce two new blocks. Let's start by looking at select columns. What this simple block allows you to do is specify which columns you want to keep or select in your data. So let's imagine we just wanted to keep our species and bill length. We can just use the drop-down menu here to select those columns, and all of the columns will be removed from the data. Inversely, we can hit the exclude selected columns button, and it will keep the inverse of these columns, i.e. it will drop species and bill length. There's also this keep distinct rows only button, and this is useful if you want to see all combinations of distinct observations. So here we pick species and island, and if we hit the keep distinct rows only, we see all possible combinations of species and island, and our data is reduced down to 5 entries. So to select specific rows in our dataset, not columns, we have a different block called pick or slice. So you can type slice or pick, and it'll come up with this pick rows block. And what this allows us to do is select specific rows from the dataset. So in the slice type, there's multiple different options available. The most simple is to take the head or tail or the first or last rows of a dataset. It defaults to 5, but we can pick more or less rows as we choose. As we can see, the number of pages is going up as we do so. Or if instead we wanted to say to pick a percentage of the head or tails, we can click the percent button, and here we provide a proportion from 0 to 1. So now we've put 1, we're getting 100% of the data back. For example, we could put 0.1 to get 10% of the data, and we see we've gone down from 344 entries to 34 entries. And this also works for the last rows. Alternatively, we could pick the smallest or largest values in the dataset. So let's imagine we wanted to pick the smallest bill length in the dataset. Here, we're just returning the first row because we only want the smallest. But we could also increase this value to say pick the 3 smallest bill lengths in the dataset. Let's drop it back down to 1, and then look what this columns to group by does. Here, we could put something like island. What this will now do is pick the smallest bill length by island. So again, it's returning only 1 observation per island, but we could, of course, increase this again to show the top 3 per island, for example. In addition to the smallest, we can also do the same to pick the largest values in our data set. So again, now we are picking the largest bill length instead of the smallest. And this include ties button will allow us to include values which are repeated or not. Other possibilities are to select a random sample. So here we can say sample 1 row by island, and this will randomly pick a single row from each of the specific islands. We can either sample with or without replacement. If we sample with replacement, the same observation will be applied back in each time we do the sample. But if we toggle this on and off, we can see that the data is in fact randomly sampled as we go between these 2 different methods. And finally, there is the custom positions slice type. And what this allows us to do is specify which rows we want to slice. So here we're saying pick the first 5 rows, i.e. 1 to 5 for each of the island, because we've grouped by island. We could, of course, also pick the first row only, and now we only get 1. We can also use negative indices, so we can say -1, and that will remove the first row from each of the islands. So together, the select and slice blocks allow us to chop and pick certain rows and columns we want from our data to reduce it down.